Here's what's happening this week in true crime news. According to True Crime Daily, a 34-year-old mother went missing back on March 18th, 2018, and her remains were just found last week after 3 years. Rita Gutierrez Garcia was last seen in 2018 around 2:30 a.m. outside of a bar in Colorado. Around that time, she told her cousin that she was getting a ride home from someone but didn't specify who that someone was. She was never heard from again. Around 3:07 a.m., 911 reportedly received a call from Rita's cell phone number, but the caller immediately hung up when dispatch answered. Dispatch tried calling that number back twice, but there was no answer. Rita had 3 sons in middle school at the time of her disappearance, and she was actually 1 semester away from graduating with a paralegal degree. Once she was reported missing, police discovered that the night she disappeared, Rita had briefly interacted with a man named Juan Figueroa Jr. at the bar she was last seen at. They were left wondering if this was the stranger Rita had intended to get a ride home with that fateful night. Police actually interviewed Juan, and eventually in 2021, he was indicted by a grand jury for first-degree murder and kidnapping in Rita's missing person case, despite the fact that police had never actually found her body, so they had to have had some other evidence. Around this same time, Juan was also arrested and convicted of sexual assault and attempted murder of another woman. Because of this conviction and the indictment in Rita's case, Juan was sentenced to prison in 2021 and is currently serving 93 years to life. The Longmont Department of Public Safety and District Attorney's Office searched an area in Weld County on April 28th of this year and stumbled upon human remains. DNA samples were analyzed after the autopsy and a positive identification was made. The human remains belonged to missing Rita Gutierrez Garcia, the mother who had gone missing back in 2018, leaving her 3 sons behind. Earlier this week, the body of a missing 25-year-old woman was found in an abandoned home in Cleveland. Anastasia Hamilton was last seen on May 21st, 2002, around 10:15 p.m. in the Terminal Tower parking garage. In a photo released by Crime Stoppers, Anastasia was with an unidentified man under, quote, suspicious circumstances. Several days after she was last seen, her body was found in an abandoned home. She was found on a couch with lacerations and abrasions covering her head, body, arms, and legs. She had been discovered by citizens, and then homicide responded to the scene. Her cause of death has not been released, and authorities reportedly announced up to a $5,000 reward for any information regarding Anastasia Hamilton. Again, this was in the Cleveland area. On May 23rd, 2022, a 61-year-old woman who had actually filed a restraining order against her husband was found dead inside of her recycling bin underneath her porch. Around 6:44 a.m., a 21-year-old man called Medford police in Massachusetts to report that his mother, 61-year-old Barbara Hovey Novaez, was missing. He told police his mother had been seen the day before at her home, but they hadn't seen her since. He said that he also believed she went to get her nails done that day, but when he went to her residence to check in, he found her door open and her keys, wallet, and purse were all inside, but she was missing. Medford police arrived at Barbara's home and began searching for her. Around 8:30 a.m., an officer located her body underneath the porch at her duplex. She had been stuffed in her recycling bin. The district attorney's office said her body did not have any signs of trauma, but they are still investigating her death as suspicious. According to sources, back on May 9th, Barbara had filed for a restraining order against her husband, and they were reportedly going through a divorce. But then on May 17th, almost a week before she was found, Barbara withdrew her request for the restraining order, and police are still investigating Barbara's case. That is what is happening in true crime news this week. If you want to follow our podcast, Murder with My Husband, we do deep dives into true crime cases every single week.